With more than 11,000 career rushing yards, John Riggins is one of football's greatest runners. Yet, he is remembered more for who he was than what he accomplished.
John Riggins gave the National Football League personality, which a lot of people are trying to take away from the game today. John managed to stay within the bounds of society, got close to the edge, but stayed within them, and yet still had a personality that everybody could talk about.
There's the snap, hand to Riggins, good hold, he's got the first down to the 40, he's gone, the 35, the 30, the 20, he's gone, he's gone, touchdown, Washington Redskins!
In 1971, a Kansas farm boy named John Riggins arrived in New York and made an immediate impression.
The first thing we kind of noticed about John was that he was able to grow an afro. Here's this guy coming out of Kansas, a white guy. So all of a sudden, I mean, he's a soul brother, and guys are kind of playing with him in a little different light.
Riggins had the look. The question was, did he have the game?
Were you very confident that you were going to make it in the NFL?
I was kind of ignorant of the NFL. So I didn't know of all the first-round draft choices over the years who'd made it and hadn't made it. I remember Bob Ferguson, the big fullback from Ohio State, was a guy that didn't quite catch on. I'm figuring, you know, I'm going to be a Bob Ferguson.
At 6'2" and 230 pounds, Riggins was bigger and better than Bob Ferguson. Riggins was a high school sprint champion who broke Gale Sayers' career rushing record at the University of Kansas. And he didn't slow down when he came to the NFL.
Could you complete this sentence for me? The mark of a great running back is?
His eyes. It's his eyes. If you can't see the cracks, if you can't find daylight, it's hopeless. Forget about it. Starts right there with your eyes. Maybe along that line is the instinct. I think to me it's a very physical game. I grew up on a farm and we used to get cattle, the cattle will always stay away from you, they're very passive, but you get one in a corner and you got a problem. Invariably, a defense would put me in a corner. That's when they had a problem.
Most great players agree, football is a head game, and no running back used his head as creatively as John Riggins.
It certainly drew attention, but it also made a statement about me, which is, I don't know if I want to mess with that guy. The last guy you ever want to pick on is a crazy guy. I mean, the tough guy, you got a shot because you think he'll think logically. The crazy guy, don't know what he's going to do.
John, when did you first realize that this was a business?
It wasn't really my rookie year because I think I was still starstruck. I think it was actually my second year. And I think Weeb, actually, the general manager, sent me a bonus check for $1,000. If I'm not mistaken, my second year I had 944 yards, but I missed basically 4 games. And so he said, it would have been more had you made 1,000 yards. And I thought, really? That was kind of when I started to realize that it wasn't quite exactly what the ancient Greeks had in mind when they invented the Olympics.
I viewed the game through the wide, starry eyes of a youth when I first came into it. In reality, that's just not the way it is, my friends. This is a business. And the only thing that really makes it a game is the competition that burns in the athletes that play on Sunday afternoon.
Riggins was the first back in Jets history to rush for more than 1,000 yards in a season. But after 5 years of losing, he was so frustrated that his competitive fire was reduced to a mere flicker.
When you were playing with the Jets, you were quoted your last year that you were half-hearted. You said the quote was that you were like a machine at half throttle. That must have been a bad feeling for you. I mean, being the competitor that you are and looking at your whole career to think to yourself that I'm only going half speed here. Is that why you left the Jets?
Yeah. I mean, well, there was another reason. It was Joe Namath. John Riggins' talent was really never going to be explored, I didn't feel, as long as Joe was the quarterback, because it was going to be a passing team. And Joe called his own plays back then. I got an ego, and, I've got a little bit of pride, and so I thought, well, I wouldn't mind having the team geared towards me. I think I have that kind of talent. But I also know this is Joe Namath.
He wanted parity. They wanted parity with Namath. And if he didn't get parity with Namath, he was willing to take his trade someplace else.
John was one of the first free agents, and George really went after him to get him. But once he got him, he used him as a blocking back, you know. One time, John went to George and said, "Hey, George, why don't you just put a 60 number on me? You get the ball 4 or 5. Sometimes you only get it a couple times a game."
I think George wanted a little quicker scat back. He was not quite sure what was going through Riggins' mind. I don't think he trusted him.
Riggins was unhappy playing for George Allen, and things only got worse when Jack Pardee took over as head coach 2 years later. So, in July 1980, Riggins made a stunning announcement.